Managing anxiety and stress in the age of rapid change, a path to inner peace. In today's world, anxiety and stress have become almost synonymous with daily life. As a everyone, my heart goes out to every individual who feels overwhelmed by the pressures of modern society. Whether it is the unrelenting demands of work, the pressures of family, or the constant stream of information from the digital world, it seems that every corner of life brings something new to worry about. Yet at the core of anxiety and stress lies a profound opportunity for transformation. The key to managing anxiety and stress isn't found in eliminating all challenges or shielding oneself from life's turbulence. Rather, it lies in mastering our inner world, finding the tools to respond with calm presence and wisdom to the external chaos. Understanding the roots of anxiety and stress. Anxiety arises when we project ourselves into a future that is uncertain. The human mind is a master of imagination. It has the remarkable ability to create entire stories about what might happen, stories that are often based on fear and worst-case scenarios. Stress, on the other hand, is our body's natural response to perceived threats or challenges. It is a survival mechanism that has served humanity well for thousands of years. But in modern times, this survival response has become overactive, reacting to non-life-threatening situations as though they were matters of life and death. The rapid technological and social changes we face today have only intensified these responses. We live in an era where the boundaries between work and rest have blurred. Social media inundates us with images of others' success, fueling comparison and inadequacy. The pace of change is dizzying, and the constant connectivity often leads to a sense of overwhelm. Yet amidst this whirlwind there is hope. Anxiety and stress are not enemies. They are messengers. They are pointing to areas in our lives where we are out of alignment with our true nature, areas where we are gripping too tightly, resisting the flow of life, or disconnecting from our inner peace. The power of presence. One of the most powerful tools for managing anxiety and stress is the practice of presence. When we are fully present in the moment, anxiety, which is always rooted in future worries, loses its grip on us. Presence invites us to step out of the mind's endless chatter and into the simplicity of now. Example: imagine you are stuck in traffic, late for an important meeting. The mind starts racing. I'm going to miss the meeting. They will think I'm unprofessional. What if this ruins my career? Stress mounts as you sit there helpless, watching the minutes tick by. But what if in that moment you took a deep breath and chose to be fully present? You can't change the traffic, but you can change how you respond to it. Instead of spiraling into stress, you could focus on your breath, notice the scenery around you, or even take a moment to reflect on something you're grateful for. The situation hasn't changed, but your experience of it has. You've stepped out of anxiety and into presence. This simple shift from being caught in the mind's projections to being present in the moment is life-changing. Presence is the antidote to anxiety because it anchors us in the only moment that is real, the present. Breathwork, the gateway to calm. Another powerful tool for managing stress is breathwork. The breath is an intimate connection between the body and the mind. When we are anxious or stressed, our breath becomes shallow and fast, signaling to the body that we are in danger. By consciously slowing down and deepening the breath, we send a message to the body that we are safe, allowing the nervous system to relax. Example: a woman once came to me overwhelmed by her responsibilities as a single mother and her demanding job. She told me that she felt like she was constantly on edge, her mind racing from one task to the next. I introduced her to a simple breathing technique, the 4-7-8 breath. It involves inhaling for a count of 4, holding the breath for a count of 7, and exhaling slowly for a count of 8. She practiced this daily, and within a week she noticed a profound difference. Her body felt calmer, her mind quieter. Whenever she felt stress creeping in, she would return to her breath, using it as a tool to reset her nervous system. Over time, she became more centered, able to face her challenges with a sense of calm and clarity. Breathwork is a practice that anyone can do anywhere, anytime. It is a bridge that takes us from the reactive state of stress into the calm-centered state of presence. Reframing thoughts, changing your inner dialogue. Much of our anxiety and stress come not from the events themselves but from how we interpret them. The mind is a storyteller constantly weaving narratives about what is happening and what it means. These narratives often amplify our stress, turning minor inconveniences into major catastrophes. A powerful tool for managing anxiety is learning to reframe our thoughts. This means challenging the stories we tell ourselves and choosing more empowering interpretations. Example: a young man I worked with was constantly stressed about his job. He felt like he was always on the verge of failure, worried that his boss would fire him at any moment. We explored his thought patterns and discovered that he had a deep-rooted belief that he wasn't good enough, a belief that colored every experience. Whenever his boss gave him feedback, he interpreted it as a sign that he was failing. Together we worked on reframing this belief. Instead of seeing feedback as criticism, he began to see it as an opportunity for growth. He started telling himself, "I'm learning and I'm improving every day." This simple shift in perspective reduced his anxiety dramatically. He was no longer fighting against his circumstances, he was flowing with them, open to learning and growth. Reframing thoughts doesn't mean denying reality or pretending that everything is perfect. It means choosing a perspective that empowers you, one that allows you to navigate life's challenges with a sense of resilience and openness. The power of surrender. At the core of much anxiety is a desire for control. We want to control the outcome of every situation to ensure that everything goes according to plan. But life is unpredictable, and this need for control only creates more stress. One of the most liberating tools for managing anxiety is the practice of surrender. Surrender doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It means releasing the need to control every aspect of life and trusting in the flow of life itself. It is about accepting what is without resistance. Example: I once met a successful businessman who was plagued by anxiety. Despite his external success, he constantly worried about the future, whether his investments would pay off, whether his competitors would outpace him. His mind was always in overdrive, trying to control every variable. I encouraged him to practice surrender, to let go of his need to control the future and trust in the unfolding of life. He resisted at first, thinking that surrender meant failure. But gradually he began to see the power in letting go. He realized that by trying to control everything, he was actually limiting himself, closing off to new possibilities. As he embraced surrender, his anxiety diminished. He still worked hard, but now there was a sense of ease, a flow to his actions. He was no longer swimming against the current, he was moving with it. Surrender is not about inaction. It is about aligning with the natural flow of life, trusting that everything is unfolding exactly as it should. When we surrender, we release the heavy burden of anxiety and step into a state of peace and trust. Creating a supportive environment. An often overlooked aspect of managing anxiety and stress is the importance of our environment. Our surroundings, the people we interact with, and the media we consume all have a profound impact on our mental and emotional state. Example: a young woman I worked with was constantly anxious, feeling overwhelmed by the demands of her job and her social life. As we explored her daily routine, we discovered that she was surrounding herself with negativity. Her friends were constantly complaining, and she spent hours on social media comparing herself to others and feeling inadequate. Together we worked on creating a more supportive environment. She started setting boundaries with her friends, limiting her time on social media and surrounding herself with people and content that uplifted and inspired her. The change was remarkable. As her environment shifted, so did her inner state. She felt lighter, more positive, and her anxiety began to melt away. Creating a supportive environment is a crucial step in managing stress. This doesn't mean isolating yourself from challenges or discomfort, but it does mean being mindful of the energy you surround yourself with and making choices that support your well-being. The path to inner peace. Managing anxiety and stress in today's world is not about eliminating every source of pressure. It is about cultivating the inner tools to navigate life's challenges with grace, resilience, and calm. By practicing presence, using the breath as an anchor, reframing disempowering thoughts, embracing surrender, and creating a supportive environment, we can transform anxiety into an opportunity for growth and empowerment. Anxiety and stress are not here to defeat us. They are here to guide us back to ourselves, to show us where we are out of alignment and invite us to return to a state of peace. As we learn to manage our inner world, we become masters of our outer world. We step into a place of trust, knowing that no matter what life brings, we have the tools to face it with courage, wisdom, and a deep sense of peace. The path to inner peace is not one of avoidance or repression, but of deep self-awareness and acceptance. Anxiety and stress, while uncomfortable, are not enemies to be eradicated. They are signals from our body and mind that something needs attention, that we are misaligned with our true essence. By approaching them with curiosity and compassion, we can unravel the layers of fear and tension, revealing the peace that has always been within us. Self-compassion, the foundation of healing. One of the most powerful tools for managing anxiety and stress is cultivating self-compassion. When we are anxious or stressed, it is easy to become self-critical, blaming ourselves for not being able to handle life's challenges. This inner harshness only amplifies the stress, creating a vicious cycle of anxiety and self-judgment. But what if, instead of criticizing ourselves, we responded with kindness and understanding? Self-compassion is the practice of treating yourself with the same care and understanding that you would offer to a dear friend. It is recognizing that you are human, that you are doing your best, and that it's okay to struggle sometimes. Example: a client of mine, a high-achieving lawyer, was constantly stressed and anxious about her work. She felt like she was never doing enough, always falling short of her own expectations. Her inner dialogue was harsh and critical. "Why can't you handle this? You're not good enough." This relentless self-criticism only made her anxiety worse. Together we worked on developing self-compassion. Whenever she noticed herself spiraling into self-judgment, she would pause, take a deep breath, and say to herself, "It's okay. I'm doing my best. It's okay to feel this way." Over time, this simple practice transformed her relationship with herself. Her anxiety softened as she learned to treat herself with kindness rather than criticism. She became more resilient, able to face her challenges with a sense of inner support rather than inner conflict. Self-compassion is not about letting yourself off the hook or avoiding responsibility. It is about recognizing that you are human, that you are worthy of kindness, and that you are doing your best. When we approach ourselves with compassion, we create a foundation of safety and support, making it easier to manage stress and anxiety. Spiritual surrender, trusting the flow of life. Anxiety often arises when we feel disconnected from the deeper currents of life. We become entangled in the mind's need for control, trying to micromanage every detail of our lives to ensure a specific outcome. This creates immense pressure and stress, as the mind is constantly scanning for potential threats or problems. Spiritual surrender is the practice of letting go of this need for control and trusting in the flow of life. It is about recognizing that while we have agency and responsibility, we are not in control of everything. There is a larger force, a divine intelligence, that is guiding the unfolding of our lives. When we surrender to this force, we release the need to force or push, and we allow life to flow naturally. Example: a man came to me overwhelmed by anxiety about his career. He was constantly worrying about whether he was on the right path, whether he would be successful, and whether he was making the right decisions. His mind was trapped in a cycle of what-ifs, and he felt paralyzed by the pressure to get everything right. I introduced him to the practice of spiritual surrender. Each day he would take a few moments to consciously release his need for control, repeating the affirmation, "I trust in the flow of life." I am supported by a greater intelligence. Over time he began to feel a sense of relief. His anxiety lessened as he embraced the idea that he didn't have to control every outcome. He still took action and made decisions, but now he was operating from a place of trust rather than fear. His career flourished not because he forced it but because he allowed it to unfold naturally. Surrender is not about giving up. It is about letting go of the illusion of control and trusting in the greater flow of life. When we surrender, we release the pressure and anxiety that come from trying to control the uncontrollable. We align ourselves with the natural rhythms of life, allowing things to unfold in their own time and in their own way. Giving your full attention to what is in front of you rather than worrying about the outcome or the next step. It is about breaking the cycle of overwhelm by focusing on one thing at a time, doing it with care and attention. Example: a young woman I worked with was constantly stressed about her to-do list. She felt like there were a million things she needed to do, and the sheer volume of tasks overwhelmed her to the point where she couldn't focus on any of them. I introduced her to the practice of mindful action. Instead of trying to tackle everything at once, she would choose one task and give it her full attention. She would focus on the present moment, bringing all of her energy to that one task without worrying about the others. This simple shift in approach made a huge difference. She found that by focusing on one thing at a time, she became more productive and her stress decreased. Mindful action helped her break free from the overwhelm of multitasking and allowed her to approach her work with a sense of calm and clarity. Resilience is built not by avoiding challenges but by meeting them with presence and mindfulness. When we take action mindfully, we reduce the stress of multitasking and allow ourselves to be fully engaged in the present moment. This not only reduces anxiety but also increases our effectiveness and sense of accomplishment. Conclusion: transforming anxiety into peace. Anxiety and stress are not conditions to be feared or fought. They are signals that something in our life is calling for attention, whether it is a misalignment with our true nature, an unhealed wound, or an opportunity for growth. By cultivating presence, self-compassion, surrender, and mindful action, we can transform anxiety into a powerful force for personal and spiritual growth. Life will always present challenges, and the external world will always be full of uncertainties. But by mastering our inner world, we gain the tools to navigate life's turbulence with grace and resilience. Anxiety and stress lose their power when we meet them with wisdom, presence, and compassion. We come to see them not as enemies, guiding us toward a deeper understanding of ourselves and a greater sense of inner peace. You are not defined by your anxiety or your stress. You are a being of immense power and light, capable of navigating any challenge that life presents. The tools are within you, waiting to be discovered and used. Trust in your ability to heal, to grow, and to transform. Trust in the flow of life and know that every moment of anxiety or stress is an invitation to return to your true self, a self that is grounded, peaceful, and free. In this journey of managing anxiety and stress, remember that you are never alone. The universe is always supporting you, guiding you back to a place of inner peace and wholeness. The path is not always easy, but it is always worth it. And as you walk this path, you will find that anxiety and stress, once seen as burdens, become gateways to a deeper, richer, and more peaceful life.